Hello and welcome to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show on a Wednesday at 2 p.m. BST. I got my crown on to celebrate Baron Corbin being King of the Ring. Also ties in to today's Ups and Downs episode that you can see at 2 p.m. BST when we're finished here over on What Culture Wrestling. If you haven't subscribed to them, make sure you do it. And also make sure you subscribe to me. I love seeing that subscriber number go up. And if you know, everyone knows this, it's 2019. It's the lifeblood of the channel. If subscribers go up, views go up, everything goes up. Everything is just a bit better. But thank you very much for joining me. Our third stream of the week. Just notice that my crown is somewhat see-through. That's bizarre. Isn't green screening a weird thing? But yes, it's our third stream of the week. I'm going to try and do another one tomorrow around about 5:30 in the evening because that worked quite well last time and it'd be cool to get in a habit. But I thought I'd do today's because as soon as we're done here and as soon as we have done Ups and Downs, I'm flying over to Ipswich, where I am fighting tonight at Norwood Mania for IPW. Literally, genuinely, everyone says this, but it's true. There's only a few tickets remaining. So if you are in the East Anglia region of England and you'd like to come see me wrestle tonight, do. James Norwood, who is a professional football player for Ipswich Town, is going to be the special enforcer for my match. Excuse me. Given that when we first started doing this wrestling journey, I was only going to have one fight and call it quits, I like to think that we've come quite far. My man Cyber Kid as well says in the super chat, I was bored and had nothing to do, then Simon Miller made the save. I love your podcast, grow. You can get a golden up. Well, that's very kind. And talking of that, let's get all the housework out the way. At Simon Miller316 Twitter, at Simon Miller316 Instagram. What was that? Instagram. I got a problem with Instagram. I never say it right. All of my podcasts, such as this, is supported by Patreon. There's a link in the description below, just patreon.com/Simon316. Even if you can spare me $1, it allows me to do more of this kind of stuff. Hence why we are doing more podcasts/shows recently. Plus, there's rewards in there, t-shirts, postcards, messages. You can come on the podcast. You can check it out. And more importantly, live right here now, if you want to have something to say, you got a question, you want to call me an idiot, you want to steer the podcast in a certain way, or you've got a question, use the super chat. It's right over there. You know how it works. As Orange Cassidy is the GOAT has done. He says, hey, Simon, this is weird, but last night at the gym, I was bullied by these three guys for doing bodyweight exercises instead of using weights. WTF? Well, unfortunately, man, that sucks. You will have encountered what is known as professional morons. They will have some kind of, what's the word I'm looking at? They will have some kind of self-esteem issue, some kind of negative vibe they just can't shake. And the way that they try and use that is by pushing it onto other people. So they see you doing bodyweight exercises, which you're more than entitled to do. I say this to everyone. If you want to go to the gym and just throw a weight on your foot, you can do it. It's up to you. Maybe you want to injure your foot because you don't want to be involved in sport anymore. Ignore them. They're not worth your time. They're going to be sad, lonely people deep down. You do you. I know it's hard, but be as strong as you can. Keep doing your bodyweight exercises, and in your head, flip them off. We won't flip them off here because that's not what we do. This is interesting. A few people have said this, but Matthew Bailey has popped up in the super chat, of course, hand on heart. When you do put money in the super chat, a little thanks. Do you think the Alexa and Sasha shoot is legit? Now, I've been making ups and downs this morning. What has happened? What have I missed? This always happens. I always think I should check wrestling news, and I don't. We are going to talk Brock Lesnar. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot to say. Right, here we go. Right, okay, I'm just going to read this out from whatculture.com, which I check every day. The one day I don't check it. Across social media, well, let's get there. Nia Jax reads, is this new? Hang on, let me just make sure this is new, because I don't want to read an old story and then everyone be like, well, I would have updated my thing. This is new. This is today. Right, Nia Jax has retweeted a post by a user named Era of Bliss, unaffiliated, which implied that Sasha Banks aimed an unnecessary cheap shot at Alexa Bliss on this week's Raw. The tweet also seemed to indicate that Sasha's candid words on Chronicle, I would never try to intentionally hurt everyone, to paraphrase, were hypocritical. Seemingly in response, Sasha's husband, we don't need to worry about that, subtweeted Nia by saying, I've said it before, I say it again, people in glass houses shouldn't cast stones. Meanwhile, over on Instagram, Alexa Bliss posted a screenshot from the same episode in which Sasha appeared to fail to perform her role in Alexa's dive spot. Obviously, it's unclear whether this was done deliberately or whether it was a simple lapse in timing. In response to Medusa's reply, someone said, thank gosh for Bailey. Bliss wrote, I said the same thing. Man, my word. Well, Matthew, who put that in the super chat, thank you for alerting me to it. Here's the thing. I don't believe that anybody in the professional world, especially when you're in, not the professional wrestling world, in WWE, is intentionally not going to do their job. That would be stupid. That would be ridiculous. And that is going to get you fired. So it should. I don't want to get on my high horse about this, but when you put your body in somebody else's hands, everyone has said this, you have to know you're going to get that respect back. And if someone isn't going to do that, fire them, get rid of them, ban them from the industry as much as you can. So I would imagine it was just a mistake. I don't think there would have been any any deliberate nature there. Could be wrong, I don't know, but I'm going to assume not. But there's always been this talk and these rumors that Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks don't get on. But just to draw a line under this, as we said on the podcast the other day, after watching Sasha Banks on Chronicle and all the stuff with Big Cass, who both seem to have gone through some mental health stuff, as have other wrestlers, I never did this anyway, but I'm doubly not now going to start speculating or making wild claims on personal issues that I don't know anything about. So I would say it's probably not a work. There probably is some, employee bad blood there, as there is in any company. Do you like everybody you work with? Of course you don't. That's not human nature. And it's now spilt out onto the internet because it always spills out onto the internet. I doubt anything will be made of it. I assume some kind of management meeting will be held and it will be water under the bridge, but I don't think it's intentional. And maybe it is a work. WWE does like to try and use Twitter and Facebook for that kind of stuff a bit more. So yeah, I think it's a shoot, but it's probably a shoot that feels more crazy because we're all latching onto it, as we should do. It's an interesting story, but I don't think that Sasha Banks is... Well, if somebody asked me, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up. But if somebody put a gun to my head, I don't believe in any universe that Sasha Banks wouldn't catch Alexa Bliss. How bad that would be. It would end everything. But thank you for alerting me to it. I missed that. Look at that. Storm brewing in wrestling again. Timothy Jones, my man in the super chat, is now going to bring it back to what we are going to talk about. Morning, Simon. Do you see Kofi beating Brock? It will solidify Kofi as a star, not only in the WWE, but mainstream Brock is already, so he doesn't need the W. Well, my friend, no, I don't. Hence why I've titled this podcast this, because I am so confident. You have to excuse me, I need a drink. My throat is awful today. It's Lemsip for you, which I don't actually like, but it does work. I never drink on streams. I think it's unprofessional. I don't know why. I'm crazy, but I'm doing it today. There's always an exception. That's why I called the show this. Episode 210, Brock Lesnar returns to end Kofi Kingston's WWE title reign, because that is 100% what I believe is going to happen. I think this is writing on the wall. I think Kofi's time has come to an end, and given that when you think of the people that Brock Lesnar has lost to over the years, I don't believe that Kofi Kingston is going to get that nod. I think WWE wants to make a huge splash when they debut on Fox in a couple of weeks. And I even said this on a few ups and downs from last week and the week before. I thought this was the direction we were heading in. It was because Kofi kept beating Randy Orton. I said it's got to be because they want Brock Lesnar to come in. Because don't forget, on Fox, which has a history of MMA and UFC coverage, Brock Lesnar is quite a big deal. People know who he is anyway, but the Fox audience knows who Brock Lesnar is. Hence why he's now magically on SmackDown despite being a Raw guy for so long. Even though back in the day, he actually was more synonymous with SmackDown. But I believe this is the end. This is the end for Kofi's run. WWE wants to make this huge noise when they do make that shift. Brock Lesnar, probably from a mainstream point of view, if we take Ronda Rousey out of the equation, I would say he is the biggest person that most people would know from a mainstream perspective, and that's exactly what WWE needs when they shift across. So no, I absolutely think that. Yeah, I think it's the end. I really do. I think Kofi Kingston will lose his championship on October the 4th when SmackDown debuts, and we'll do an ups and downs on it. It'll be the first time since I believe AJ Styles won in November 2017. I think it was 17 when he beat Jinder Mahal that we've seen a world championship change. I believe that's right, on a television show. Could be wrong. And I'm intrigued to know how people think about that, because you have to look at it in both ways. I love Kofi Kingston, but I do feel like naturally we've come to the end of his world title run. I do think we need something else. The problem is, are we actually going to get Brock versus Kofi 2? I can see a Finn Balor moment here. I can see them just moving away from it because maybe WWE feels like he's come to the end of whatever this was. I don't know. I'm just speculating. The other rumor is that the Bray Wyatt is going to beat Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship, and then at Survivor Series we do Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. Don't do that. Just don't do that. It's not going to end well for The Fiend. It's just at one point, do I think that The Fiend should beat Brock Lesnar? Yes. Should it be in Survivor Series? Absolutely not. That's way too soon. It just is. And it won't work out. It won't. I guarantee it. So no, I think that's why we've done this. I think this is why we've waited till, it is 2 weeks, isn't it? Let me get my calendar up. Yeah, it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks on Friday. this is just when we do it. This is, who else is going to come back in and win the WWE title other than Brock Lesnar when WWE tries to make a splash? There aren't that many candidates. And but coincidentally, that may actually tie into Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar going at it again at WrestleMania. And people will still be annoyed about that, even though WWE's gone out of their way to move Roman Reigns out of that scene. But sometimes you can't win. But no, let me know what you think in the comments. Absolutely, what's going to happen when Brock Lesnar meets Kofi in a ring in 2 weeks' time? I'll put everything. Put it like this: in ups and downs, I've put something of mine on the line. If he doesn't win, it's quite a big deal. You'll find about it at 2 p.m. BST, like I say. But to me, Brock Lesnar in 3 weeks' time, when we're doing this podcast, he will be the WWE champion. And then where we go from there, I don't know. It'll be fascinating. Kevin Manson Super Chat says, "You are legit one of my favorite voices on YouTube." Kevin, that is very kind, my friend, especially because YouTube's a pretty big platform these days, and I'm small fry compared to what some people are smashing out. So thank you, Kevin. Words like that make my day. I don't take them lightly, and they inspire me and they motivated me to continue on. So thank you very much, my friend. You are one of my favorite YouTube watchers. So we've got a lovely relationship. Undead FBQ, shout out to Undead FBQ, always supporting the channel, always appreciate it. Brock now looks like my brother-in-law, but a massive version. Brackets, he will squash Kofi. Also, love the fact Chad Gable lost it. Highlight of SmackDown. That's the other thing we didn't mention. Brock Lesnar's grown his beard back. And if you watched UFC back in the day, you know that bearded Brock is the worst of all the Brocks. It's the last person that Kofi Kingston wants to face. That's like when you're playing a JRPG and you beat the boss, and then you have to beat the boss again, and now he's got a beard. That's Brock Lesnar. Like when you got to beat Ganon twice in Zelda. Ganondorf to Ganon, whichever way around it goes. I get confused. That's bearded Brock. No one's going to beat bearded Brock. You watch. He'll win. Then he'll shave the beard off for one of his matches, and then you know, he's going to lose. It is going to be fascinating. Who else does beat Brock Lesnar other than Roman Reigns? But bearded Brock. I also agree with you, Undead, about Chad Gable. What a lovely surprise that was. What a lovely surprise. Chad Gable not being thrown out with the fishes, being featured, not only being featured, but being the guy to ruin, hence the crown, which is actually starting to hurt my head because my head's so damn big. It ruined the coronation of Baron Corbin. Hell yeah, let's see what we can do with Chad Gable. We're sick of the short jokes. I was sick of the short jokes, which actually made me think, well, maybe they've done that quite well then, WWE, because I wanted Chad Gable to punch Baron Corbin in the face, which he did. The issue I have is, are you really going to have Baron Corbin win the King of the Ring, then Chad Gable beats him in a random match? Probably not. That's not really WWE's way. Excuse me. But, yeah, I thought that was great, and it was really unexpected. SmackDown was a weird show. The bad bits, and we'll go through the whole thing soon, but the bad bits I kind of groaned at, but the good bits, I liked seeing Brock Lesnar come out, right? It was a surprise. What an amazing week this has been. Or amazing few weeks. Sasha Banks came back. Luke Harper came back. Now Brock Lesnar is back. I don't mind Brock Lesnar being on my TV. I just don't. I get used to him taking titles and leaving the WWE, so I just accept it. I'm okay with it. Jade Starr in the Super Chat says, I sent an email 2 weeks ago regarding music. Did you get it, Jade? I won't have got it as of yet. Again, I talk about this all the time. I don't want to overdo it. I got sick. And it really put me behind in everything. And emails are one of the things that I'm slowly going through. So I will get to it eventually, but it's a long process. I'm very lucky to get a lot of emails, and I appreciate that. But I promise I will get back to you soon. I never do not reply to an email. That's my thing. I think if somebody is kind enough to email me, I should respond. Podcasting Stone in the Super Chat says, did you hear about Sasha being groped by a fan on Raw? Why do people think this kind of thing is acceptable? Sasha tweeted that she is suing. Well, I didn't see that. I don't know what. Can you sue? I don't know. I did see the clip, and it just made me roll my eyes, and it made me very disappointed to be a wrestling fan. I don't get it. We shouldn't be grabbing and groping people, not just in wrestling, in any walk of life. Respect people's personal space. That's what I don't get. Like I'm quite a relaxed dude, right? But if people get in my personal space, it makes me uncomfortable. That's just one of my things. It'll be my DNA, whatever. Like somebody, I'm not going to name names, but somebody I was out the other day at an event, and I didn't know this person, and they just put their arm around me. But it was the way that they did it. It was I wasn't intimidated or anything like that. Not saying I'm a tough guy, but I'm not. That's not what I'm getting at. But the way they did it to me was just inappropriate, and I was like, "Don't do that." And I said something as well. But I get it. So when you've got wrestling fans being caught on camera trying to grope, women wrestlers' asses, we're living in bad times. We just shouldn't be doing it. I mean, if Sasha Banks can sue, she should. We should send. There has to be rules against that kind of stuff. So yes, I did see the footage, and I thought it was I did. I thought it was awful. I was just like, what is going? There's no excuse. Cyber Kid in the super chat says, I want to see Big E heel turn. You know what? I actually think I agree with you. I like the New Day, but when they won on SmackDown and beat the Revival again, I'm like, why do we hate the Revival so much? I actually thought when Kofi does lose his championship, when he loses it on October the 4th, we can probably move away from the New Day now. I don't know what they're doing merchandise sales-wise, but from a creative point of view, even you don't necessarily have to turn Big E heel, because I actually think maybe people wouldn't boo him, but taking him out of the pack at least a little bit, even if they use him as they're still boys, they're still brothers, they're still friends, I would like to see him get pushed as a singles dude and see what we can do with him. And probably the same for Xavier Woods as well. Kofi could probably chill out for a bit. He's just had his big run, and then, it doesn't overexpose him. But no, I agree. I totally agree. I think we can probably start thinking about other things to do with the New Day right now, and I wouldn't mind. There was a time when I would have disagreed with that, but again, I say there's a phrase of every podcast: the law of diminishing returns. You always want to stay in front of the curve. I think the curve is coming up. Richard Dalloway in the super chat says, "Hand on heart for you, my friend. Looking healthy, Miller Man. Tip of the crown." Damn right. My throat's still ruined. On that note, unprofessional, but no, I do feel better. So thank you, Richard, and thank you for throwing some money in the pot as well. Let's be transparent with this. Obviously, I'm wearing my crown to celebrate. I'm going to move it every now and then to celebrate Baron Corbin's coronation. And because I use it in ups and downs, it didn't cost me that much, you'd be surprised to know. And now I just want to use it as much as possible. Get the worth out of my £2.50. It's so cheap. David Ayres in the super chat. See, he agrees. Bearded Brock is final form. I mean, I like to think he grew it on purpose. He didn't. I'd imagine he just couldn't be asked. He's like, oh yeah, I've got to go to TV. Can I be bothered to shave? Nope. I couldn't tell if he looked bigger or not as well. I'm always intrigued to see what kind of shape Brock Lesnar's going to be in. And I couldn't figure out if he looked bigger or not. But he has got a beard. Kofi Kingston ain't bearded Brock Lesnar. It'll probably go before the 4th now. He's not going to do it. Again, if you disagree with me, let me know. I'm happy to have that argument. I'm happy to have that debate. And I love Kofi Kingston. I think Kofi Kingston is a joy. And he's a proper babyface that wins. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. All over the shop in the super chat. Who do you think will be the main draft picks? And thanks to your inspiration, I've lost over a stone. Keep up the great work. You're a legend. Well, that's amazing. Fair play to you, my friend. I mean, that's an incredible thing to do. And if as I say, sometimes people say this, if I inspired you in any way, incredibly humbling, and I'll think about that comment for days, as I often do. But you did the work, man. Maybe I gave you the catalyst to trigger something, but you did the work. It's all on you. Make sure you pat yourself on the back. Yeah, because that's an incredible thing to do. A stone is a lot of weight. Fair, you could look like a different person if you lose a stone, right? Who do I think will be the main draft picks? Well, it all depends. The rumor at the moment is we're not going to make any drastic changes, and this is just to solidify both brands, and then we move forward with a proper brand split. So I imagine Roman Reigns stays. I don't think you can have Seth and Roman on the same show. I think that's unbalanced. Brings up the question of Becky Lynch, because she's being pushed quite heavily on SmackDown, but do you split those two up because they're engaged? Could cause problems. Charlotte should be on the opposite brand to Becky, because they kind of, offer something different, so maybe she goes to Raw. Otherwise, I think it would just be sort of upper mid-card talent. So you take a Dolph, you take an Elias, you take a Drew McIntyre, take a Ricochet, take a Buddy Murphy, an Ali, a Cedric Alexander, and you just draw a line down them. I don't think there's going to be any main draft picks. I guess you have to have one. But Roman Reigns will stay on SmackDown and Seth Rollins would stay on Raw, would be my gut feeling. And the IC champ will stay on one and the US champ. Maybe AJ Styles probably go to SmackDown. And maybe Ali is champion by then. No, he wouldn't be, because the pay-per-view's after that. Oh, no, because the pay-per-view actually cuts in between. It doesn't matter. I think AJ Styles will probably jump across, because I think right now, I think AJ Styles is the MVP for WWE, because he offers so much. But I think that draft's going to be a bit weird. I don't think it's going to be as major as some people hope. Mark Reeson in the super chat. Will WWE reference Beast in the East 2015? No, I don't think so. Although they do have another network special. They're doing another Starrcade this month. Or in November, I assume it will be. So they are going to do more of those. But no, I don't think we'll reference Beast in the East. Do you remember that? Do you remember how crazy we all thought it was that we're just doing this random Japanese house show on the WWE network? And they never really went back to it and do it again. Very strange indeed. We got to the 20-minute mark, so as always, just to remind you now, because this is usually when the audience peaks, that Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show is sponsored by pinsandknuckles.com. Make sure you head over to pinsandknucklesmerch.com to get your hands on an exclusive Simon Miller t-shirt. They are also responsible for all my merchandise. They help me out, which you can check out at simonmiller.bigcartel.com. Links to all of this in the description below. But yeah, shout out to Pins and Knuckles for helping me with my wrestling merchandise. It's pretty damn cool. And again, if you have just joined and you've got a question about anything I say, you want to say that I'm wrong, or you want to steer the conversation in a new direction, please do the super chat. Any amount is fine. As I Hate COD 27 literally did as I say these words. Hey Simon, a few weeks back you said that Buddy losing to Ali wasn't a bury unless he stopped appearing on TV, which is seen what has happened. I know he went back to Australia for a few days. Man, I don't remember what I said, but if I did say that, it has come back to bite me in the ass. You're right. The real burial in WWE, unless you're Cedric Alexander, as we spoke about yesterday, is if you just vanish. Because it's that, I say this all the time, but if I'm John, and John has only just found out about wrestling, and he tunes in, he sees Buddy Murphy, maybe he's from Australia, like I think you are, I Hate COD. And I love this guy, and he just goes. Not only have you ruined that disconnect between Buddy Murphy and this potential new fan, but it just raises so many questions. So yeah, I don't understand it. Was he in the Maria's baby party on Raw? He may have been. I don't know. But I do hate it when they do that. That's why I kind of like that Ali and Shinsuke Nakamura are going back at it at least. It's weird to have a new feud that's also an old feud, but better late than never, right? And hopefully Ali comes out of this smelling of roses, and hopefully once we have this brand split, we can use Buddy Murphy. He did great in that storyline. I thought he was fantastic. And I wouldn't even say I'm a massive Buddy Murphy fan. I am now. He won me over. So, yeah, I hope that they sort that out. I don't get why he wouldn't. He was so good, and it worked. Undead FBQ in the Super Chat says, Rowan and Harper made me hide behind my pug. Ouchie. Yeah, they kicked ass, right? They absolutely kicked ass. The best thing about this whole thing is that we have Eric Rowan and Luke Harper working with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. I don't care what you think of this story. I know we can pick holes in it, and there's plot holes and there's errors. I think it is absolutely fantastic that those two guys, especially Luke Harper, given all the rumors, but those two guys are being featured in quote-unquote main event spots. I know it's not really the same because there aren't any titles on the line, but I think it's doing wonders for them. And I know they can be dropped as soon as it's done, but as of right now, these are what these kind of experiences should do, so I'm a massive fan. I love both of them. I will say I wasn't a massive fan of Eric Rowan's sit-down interview. I liked what he did. I didn't like what he was told to say. So we don't know why he re-teamed up with Luke Harper, which is a question we want answered after Clash of Champions. That should be the thread, right? Oh, here's the tease. Here's the explanation. And he wanted to try and kill Roman Reigns because he thinks his perception of power is bollocks. It's pretty lame reasons. And then Michael Cole saying that some people have said it's attempted manslaughter. No one said manslaughter, Michael Cole. We all said murder. Murder! Look, we talk about our ups and downs. I'm not going to get into it now. Graham Connolly in the Super Chat says, feeling very low at the moment, so just tuned in to feel good. Well, Graham, as I always say when people say that, it's all good to feel low. Like, it's not ideal, you don't want to, but there's nothing wrong with it. Everybody feels low. We've got, about 300 people watching this concurrently right now, and that, probably a good 50 to 75% of people this week have felt low, because that's the human brain, and it just all depends how you cope with it. And hey, man, if tuning into this is going to make you feel a little bit better, then you honor me, you humble me. I really appreciate that, and I'll do my best to cheer you up. But don't beat yourself up. It's okay. It's okay to feel low. There's nothing wrong with that. Where am I going? There I'm going. John Fitzpatrick in the Super Chat just threw in a couple of dollars, or a couple of euros, I should say. My European brother. I didn't vote leave. I voted remain. Let's not get into that. This is a dark, dark path. And My Name is Jeff has done the same. So shout out to My Name is Jeff. And shout out to everyone that supports in the Super Chat. I really do appreciate it. And everyone that subscribed this week as well. Numbers went up. I'm happy. And if you haven't subscribed and you're watching now, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would appreciate it. Let's talk about Kevin Owens. This is the other thing. So look, as much as I loved all the Brock Lesnar Kofi stuff, and I did, I found it was a good surprise. And I'm intrigued to see about that match. I don't understand what they're doing with Kevin Owens. And again, in the chat right now, if you disagree, I want you to let me know. I'll keep an eye on it. But in no world do I want my baby faces to be coming up with lawsuits or court orders to get revenge on their bad guy opponent. That's what I think a bad guy would do. So Kevin Owens is never allowed to get his physical revenge against Shane McMahon. When he did beat him, it was with a low blow. He gets absolutely murdered last week on SmackDown, and this week he comes up and says, I'm suing you because, Elias was a ref and I beat him up, but you beat me up and I was a ref. Look, logically it makes sense. But that doesn't mean it makes him cool. It doesn't make me want to cheer him. It doesn't make me want to be him, right? Which is, I think any good babyface does that. Back in the day, it was what men want to be you and women want to be with you. It's changed now, obviously. But that was the thing that Ric Flair used to say, and all the good guys. That was the kind of the mantra in pro wrestling. So in terms of Kevin Owens, I'm just like, well, Kevin Owens can't do anything. And it's not Kevin Owens' fault. I'm not blaming. I love Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens is absolutely brilliant and is an underutilized talent. But I don't understand how this is meant to make him as a fired up, supportive babyface. He's filing a lawsuit. It's an interesting story. I'm not against the story, and it was quite an intriguing twist in the tale. But in terms of, again, the last 2 weeks, Kevin Owens did exactly what his boss told him, and then Kevin Owens kind of fell out with him, so he sued him. It's like watching a soap opera. I know wrestling is a soap opera, but the cool people beat people up. And Stone Cold sometimes would do things like this, but he would do things like this after stunning a bunch of referees or after beating up the entire heel roster. This is something like The Rock would do when he was super heel. But that made sense. He's a bad guy. I don't get it at all. I really don't. I really don't understand. Shout out to Podcasting Stone in the super chat. So started my own channel. Thanks for the inspiration. Man, don't even worry about it. Everyone go check out Podcasting Stone's channel. I'm sure he'll drop a little link in the chat as well, so keep an eye out. Check it out. You may like it. You may find a brand new YouTuber to enjoy. And shout out to Rob Bunt in the super chat who just chucked £1 in there. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, man. And how hard it is to earn £1. Same with Frequently Fly in the super chat. Just chuck $2 in there. I appreciate it. It's your money. You work hard to get that. So it means a lot. So yeah, I don't. It just seems like no matter what WWE does, it's always designed, even if by accident, not to get Kevin Owens over. Kevin Owens has so much potential. He has so much potential. Like the family man, you can relate to that. He's really good in the ring. Does crazy stuff. Like I watched that match with Dean Ambrose the other day from a couple of years ago, where he's just going crazy. So there's so much you can do with him. I feel like he can connect with like a large fan base. And again, the storyline's not bad. It just doesn't suit a babyface Kevin Owens. I mean, they kind of ruined it when he came back and they turned him heel straight away. I mean, they needed to do that. Excuse me. Because of everything that happened with Daniel Bryan. But it didn't help. It didn't help at all. I feel like at this point I should apologize for anybody listening on podcast audio. I know hearing a man drink is horrible. I would agree with you, and I would be just as mad. It's just one of those things, so I apologize. And remember, you can check out sometimes exclusive episodes go up here on YouTube, and sometimes exclusive episodes go up on the podcast feed. Just keeps it interesting, and also is a great way to get you to subscribe to both. The transparency up in this room is massive. So, the Kevin Owens thing I don't really understand. It's very, very strange, especially because he cut that really cool. Remember that really cool promo he did when he mentioned like Liv Tyler and Buddy Murphy and whoever else he was talking about, proper pipe bomb stuff. And now he's just suing Shane McMahon. I don't get it. Someone explain this to me. I don't understand. What else happened on SmackDown? Where's my damn phone? There it is. It's charging. It's charging over there. So we talked about the Lesnar stuff. It was good. Oh, that's right. So Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. On paper, what a great idea. Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks is pay-per-view worthy, right? It's pay-per-view worthy. And it has been pay-per-view worthy. Like it headlined Hell in a Cell a couple of years ago, right? It broke records and did new things. It was awesome. And so having it on SmackDown is not a bad thing. Like it gets people invested. But I think it's becoming more transparent because WWE is doing it more. Because they did it in the main event of Raw, right? With Bobby Roode versus Seth Rollins. We put two people together, and then we realized, we don't know who we want to win, and we don't know who we want to lose. So instead, what we'll do is we'll just have a mate come out and cause a DQ. That's fine every now and then. But when you're doing it on back-to-back shows, like I say, it just becomes really obvious. And it's a bit like the surprise roll-up out of nowhere. It rubs you the wrong way because you're like, well, why did you book the match to begin with? If you knew you couldn't find a way out, which is what wrestling should be, it should be creativity and coming up with the ideas, just don't put the match together. Charlotte didn't have to fight Sasha Banks. Charlotte could have fought Liv Morgan again. I mean, that doesn't really work because they're trying to tie Charlotte face. Or Naomi. Where is she? Where's Sarah Logan? She could have fought her. But putting them in that match and just having Bayley stop it 10 minutes in, I was like, well. And then why does Carmella? Then Carmella comes out which is fine because she could actually be in the category of people I just talked about. She probably could be utilized better. I love her and R-Truth, but she is a wrestler first and foremost. And then, so, you know, to then be told that she is best friends with Bayley or something, and it's just so confusing. It was almost like we need to get another tag match out of this, so we're just going to, you know, shoehorn it in. It was just very, very sticky. I'm not saying I could do any better, but when I was watching, I was like, it doesn't really feel like it's, you know, like this. It's not fitting in properly. So yeah, that was kind of strange. I'm not even sure the Bayley heel turn is working. It doesn't really make sense why she still has the inflatable Bayley buddies. I don't think when you go heel, you should do a 180 and all of a sudden be like, oh, I'm a bad guy now. Do you remember that time Naomi went heel and she had that evil music and she walked differently? You shouldn't do that. It's too obvious. It's too pantomime. But yeah, I don't get the. I just didn't get this. I really I don't know what it served. And then throwing Carmella in there last minute just confused me. Jeffrey W in the super chat says, I'm broke. Here's my only super chat for a week. Soz. Jeffrey, you don't have to apologize to me. Jeffrey W, I should say. You're always a big supporter. I always appreciate it. Don't put yourself in a bad position or anything like that. But I thank you very much. It all goes back into this. The Protein Geek says, would it be a cop out at Hell in a Cell if The Fiend beats Seth Rollins, leaves him in a pool of his own blood, the lights go out and disappears, forget the belt? What, so he doesn't actually beat him? Yeah, I do. To me, no shenanigans at Hell in a Cell. That's my big thing. I may even get a t-shirt made. There is no point having a character like Bray Wyatt / The Fiend, who is so over and garnering such good reactions, and not treat him like a top star. Seth Rollins isn't operating on the level he has been in the past. Not necessarily his fault, bad booking, whatever. Whereas The Fiend has everybody in his corner. So we need to cement that, and we need to jump onto it and tie it in a nice little bow. And having a DQ finish or a count out or just vanishing isn't going to help that. It's going to do the other. It's going to take away from it. So I see what you mean. You're trying to, you know, get out of the get out of jail free card thing. But I think WWE out of those. I think WWE don't have they don't have any of those cards left. They've played them all. I think if we've got the match and it's intriguing and some people are going to tune in and go, well, who's going to win? They need that payoff. They need that wins and losses to start to add up. I think WWE may have gone too far in the opposite direction. So I hope not. But hey, man, if you're right, fair play to you. I'll tip my crown. Let's move it again. Chicken salad in the super chat. Just threw some cash in there. Thank you, chicken salad. Always appreciate it. I'm going to have a chicken salad when I'm done here in case you are interested. Right, we've done Sasha Banks Bayley. Heavy Machinery, man. I enjoyed Heavy Machinery. Like, Heavy Machinery were absolutely fantastic because for some reason, we talked about Gable and thinking that's it. For some reason, we just decided, hey, man, let's put Otis in some pants. And that was all anybody talked about. The commentary team talked about it so much, I was like, well, they must have made the pants. They must be responsible for the gear. Because my the background's gone weird. I don't know. It's stupid green screen. Yeah, they must have made the gear because all we did was talk about Otis's pants. I mean, Otis is great. Tucker is good too. Those two just work tremendously well together. I absolutely love them. They beat the B team here. Just to let you know, the B team are nothing. Don't ever think the B team are anything more than a jobber team. That's no disrespect to them. I'm just, again, I talk about the WWE hierarchy on ups and downs this week. It's just obvious. That's how WWE sees them. But yeah, you know, Otis and Tucker win again. Quick match. This time beating a named opponent, which does help. The question is, what do we, well, you know, are they going to have a tag team title match? Are they going to fight the Revival? Not a bad feud, actually, now I say. Although surely the New Day are back in. Well, I guess Kofi Kingston technically pinned Dawson. It's so convoluted, the tag team scene. Heavy Machinery versus the Revival is not a bad feud. It's not a bad feud at all. In fact, I wouldn't mind that. I would like Heavy Machinery to win those titles, and then hopefully they're not going to do anything with them. Sometimes you've got to call a spade a spade. There's no point me sitting here trying to be overly positive when you have the evidence screaming back at you. So, you know, I don't think that I don't think that whoever becomes tag team champion anything's going to change. I just don't. I want it to, but I just don't. So that was SmackDown. Look, I thought it was a good show. The Kevin Owens stuff just crushed my brain. I couldn't work it out at all. I'm just making sure that no news has dropped in the meantime. No, I don't think so. No, it looks all the same. But yeah, the good bits were sort of solid. I'm really intrigued about this Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston match. I think it's really smart by WWE when they're having their first show on Fox to do that. And I probably think you probably should change the title because it'll make headlines. And you could be watching football over the weekend or on that Monday, and they may say, hey, look, Brock Lesnar's the new WWE champion. People are going to recognize Brock Lesnar's name from the UFC, and it may get them to tune them in next week. It really may work. It may work. It may be a really smart promotional tactic. I also just read as well, apparently Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black were on dark matches this week on SmackDown. Yeah, they did. It was Murphy versus Aleister Black in a dark match. Aleister Black as well. I actually had forgotten. About Aleister Black. How bad is that? I don't understand. I really, really, really don't understand. But we'll see what happens. Maybe the brand split and the draft that we were talking about earlier locks things up a little bit and gets those people back on track. Because Aleister Black's push at this strange is so odd. He's in a room, then he's not in a room, then he's having a match with Cesaro, then he's not. Then he fought Sami Zayn on an episode of SmackDown that was meant to be on a pay-per-view. And he hasn't done anything ever since then. I don't get it. I don't really understand what the plan is or what the idea is. Very odd. very, 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 very odd all round. But hey, that's the situation we find ourselves in, and onwards we go. Let me just make sure that all the people now are just talking about this Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss stuff. Who knows? I mean, it's if you haven't seen the documentary with Sasha Banks, I'd advise that you go and watch it. But yeah, absolutely. I don't want to cast aspersions. I don't know what's going on. If Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks don't get on, they're going to have a Twitter spat. That honestly happens in every company all over the world. The difference is when you do it in WWE, more people are going to focus on it. Much like the Big Cass stuff. I can't remember if we talked about that yesterday, but Big Cass came out with an apology, both on Enzo's and his own social media. He says he still needs help, and he regrets what he did. You can't say fairer than that. I just hope he goes and gets help. You know, wrestling is not important. I mean, it is, but when real world issues come into play, wrestling quickly becomes less of a thing you need to focus on. So if Big Cass is struggling, I just hope Big Cass is well, because mental health is so important, and hopefully he can get back to doing what he loves. David Larkin in the super chat says, as a university student, I would really like to be in shape. Do you have any advice for that? Greetings from Quebec, Canada. Thank you for what you do. I love it when we get messages like that. Guys in Canada. David's in Canada. I'm sat here in a little village outside of London. Incredible stuff. You would like to get in shape. Well, I mean, the best way to get in shape is to do exercise and eat right. I know it's really boring, but I sometimes find you read these fitness articles and they're full of such nonsense, like to try and steer you the wrong way. I mean, I don't know what you look like, David, but I think the best thing to do is if you are quote-unquote overweight, make sure you concentrate on fat loss first. And if you want to put some size on, maybe up your protein, up your carbs a little bit, and just train. You know, make sure you train 3 to 4 times a week. Don't need to do anything more than that at first. Let your body rest. That's equally as important. These days, I would always say if somebody is going to weight train, they should do a bit of cardio just because it keeps your heart pumping. And when you do want to cut down, it's not going to be so much of a nightmare. But yeah, that's what I would suggest that you do. Eat right. Train hard, up your protein, get carbs in. Don't be scared of fats. Eat good fats. Fats are good for you, help you grow. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I should do another one of these about lifting weights and stuff soon, so I'll try and do that. Under FBQ in the super chat says, how mad is it in the next few months I'm going to be in wrestling? Are you? How mad is the next few months how mad is the next few months going to be in wrestling? And then I thought you were going to be a wrestler. I got so excited. But you are so excited. Not sure how us in the UK watch AEW weekly shows. Not heard of it for ages. Well, no, this is the big question. So it seems like with NXT, we're now just going to have to wait until Thursday evenings. And, well, if I say that, then AEW will confirm they're going to be on Wednesday nights over here on ITV4 and it'll move. But at the moment, yes, Thursdays on the WWE Network is when we'll get NXT. And then I presume ITV4 on a Wednesday will pick up whatever AEW show name going to be. I'd imagine all that information comes out when we actually know what the show is going to be called. There was more rumors the other day that is going to be All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. I think that's fine. Dynamite is a good name for a show like Explosions. That just seems to be a thing in wrestling. Call your name after an explosion. But you are very right, Undead. It's true. Like, it's crazy that we are 2 weeks out today. AEW debuts 2 weeks today. How the hell did that happen? Where does the time go? And we don't know the name, and we don't know how it's going to be broadcasted around the world. But I think we'll all get one big information dump, and we can take it from there. They better start showing it. I got to ups and downs it. How am I going to watch it? It'll probably be on. Will it be on Bleacher Report? Maybe it won't. Oh, I'm worried about that now. I'll have to see. Cyberkid in Super Chat just says, love from South Africa. It's amazing, man. South Africa is a long way away. I know this. Right, we're going to do about 10 more minutes today as I have to go and get ready. Again, heading over to Ipswich later this afternoon for a match at IPW, which is pretty cool if you are going to be in the East Anglia area. There's a few tickets remaining. Check the website first. This is a legit few minutes, not a promotional. There's a few tickets. We've got hundreds. Genuinely only a few tickets left. If you want to come down and see me wrestle with James Norwood, Ipswich Town football player, which is crazy, as a special guest enforcer, you can. The reason that came about as well, I would presume, is because he was doing like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock celebrations, and The Rock tweeted him, and all of a sudden it kind of outed him as this huge wrestling fan. In social media, weird how that can happen. So what we will do, I think my mug just came apart in my mouth. That was different. So what we'll do for the last 10 minutes, ask any question you want. Question in the super chat will 100% get answered, but I will keep an eye on the chat to see what other people are saying, such as The Fiend versus Brock at Survivor Series. Don't do it. Don't do it. They won't let Brock Lesnar lose. I don't know what they'll do with The Fiend. I don't think that's going to work. I think given the situation we find ourselves in, what we should really do come Survivor Series is not do Raw versus SmackDown at all. I don't want another situation where on October the 4th or 12th, 11th, whatever it is, we have this, here's a draft, and then by Survivor Series we're doing Raw versus SmackDown. How am I meant to buy into what the draft and the brand split is meant to be? So I hope that doesn't go down. I'd like to see a proper brand split for a while to see if it helps. It doesn't necessarily mean it is going to help. But look, given that we are literally going to be on different networks now, which does make a huge difference. Yeah, I just don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary to do so. We will. So someone then says, so what would happen at Survivor Series? Just do SmackDown and Raw stuff. That you don't have to push them together this soon. So I guess you'd probably do Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston again, I would assume. And then who the hell does Bray Wyatt take on? It's a great question. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. But that's cool. You know, I like having the intrigue. I like having the open door policy. It keeps me interested. Adam McVeigh in the Super Chat says, I'd love to see Finn come back and challenge The Fiend after he wins the belt as the Demon. How incredible would the 46-minute entrances be? Such a good point. Imagine those two trying to come out. It's going to take about 700 million years. I'm not against that. To me, if The Fiend is champion and you're going to have Finn or the Demon as the guy to deprive him on it, I would wait until SummerSlam 2020. Then it's 12 months since, Bray Wyatt defeated Finn Balor in his debut match and sent him away. And by that point, if Wyatt has held on to the belt that long, it doesn't matter that he's going to lose because he's going to be in that upper echelon of guys. And also, we can finally make Finn Balor after all this time. So I'm not against that. I just don't think we should do it too soon. I think we should probably keep them apart, unless, of course, WWE is never going to push Finn Balor, which is a worthy argument to have. Given the way you've used him. And if that's the case, just let The Fiend beat the Demon as well. You may as well use every single attribute you've got to ensure that Bray Wyatt comes out the other side even stronger than he is now. And then people go, he's going to be so overpowered. Good! John Cena was overpowered. Austin was overpowered. The Rock was overpowered. That's the whole point. They got to a point where they had to be because the fans loved him, and we should do the same with that. Fiend versus Taker at Survivor Series, I'm 100% up for that, and that's what the 11-19 thing on the clock can mean. As long as the Undertaker comes in to avenge Kane, and he loses again. Push the Fiend constantly. That's what I think. Do you think they'll bring back the Fist? I mean, without wrestling context, that sounds horrendous. No, I don't. I don't think we'll have the Fist. Problem with having the Fist is you call back to a different era of nostalgia, and I imagine Fox want to stay away from that as much as possible. Have you seen the feud between Maxwell Friedman and Brandon Cutler on Twitter about Dungeons & Dragons? Have you ever played D&D? I have seen it. I think MJF is really good at what he does. He knows how to push people's buttons. He cracks me up. I have played D&D, yeah. My only problem with D&D is I don't understand how you fit it in the day. It takes so long. But no, I play Dungeons and Dragons. There you go. I'm going to get on the Brandon Cutler's side. But yeah, it's like, look, the way I understand what MJF is doing. I know he's not serious. But you do sometimes get people being like, you're too old for this. What a pile of crap. You're not too old. You're never too old for anything. Whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy, whatever you're passionate about, hold on to it and do it for as long as you can. You know, holding on to childhood loves is a good thing. It keeps you young, it keeps you youthful, and it keeps you enjoying life. So I don't have a problem with that at all. Cyberkid in the Super Chat says, would you try out for the WWE? I heard those guys do high intense cardio. I'm never criticizing WWE wrestlers again. Well, of course I would if they offered it to me. Whether or not I'm in the right shape, I don't know. But no, I never criticize wrestlers. People like to pretend that I do, but actually, if you watch all my videos, I'll never go, that person is a crap wrestler or that was a rubbish wrestling match. Because I don't think it's fair. I don't think people go out of their way to have rubbish wrestling matches. And if you care about what you do, you already know you had a rubbish wrestling match. You don't need some bald asshole telling you. Where is Matt Hardy? I would presume that WWE is waiting for Jeff to come back and they'll re-debut as a tag team. They were the tag champions, don't forget, before Hardy Jay got injured. I think WWE just extended Jeff Hardy's contract as well with that injury clause where they can, you know, because you've been out so long, we're going to take the time you were out and extend it to your contract, so you work for us the appropriate time. So it may be a while until we see Matt Hardy back, which does suck because Matt Hardy is one of the most underrated guys there is. Deserved a proper world championship run. No one agrees with me, but I think that it's true. Somebody wants a giant foot for SmackDown instead. Don't do that. You'll get Jerry King Lawler and Bret Hart. Old school reference for you there. Was there anything else that happened yesterday in the world of wrestling that we were meant to talk about? There was this weird Jim Cornette rumor. Apparently Jim Cornette said something on his podcast about Cody not liking Jericho or vice versa. I never know what to make of all that stuff now, because it does seem to be like the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, and Kenny Omega and Cody versus Jim Cornette constantly. I don't actually think the younger guys are responsible for it, but it's it's just nuts. It's just nuts. But hey, man, like I'm not gonna I'm not crapping over anybody. Jim Cornette's got his fans. Obviously, the elite guys have got their fans. But it is nuts. Who will be Jericho tag team partners? I mean, it's got to be. They're not going to be called LAX, but it's got to be the LAX guys. I don't know. Maybe they got some other surprises up their sleeve. I don't know. But if somebody put a gun to my head, I would say it would likely be LAX. Shout out to Palak Gupta, amazing name, who just threw some money into the super chat again. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for everybody who was super chatted today. You really don't know how much it helps me. So, tip of my crown. Tip of my crown to you. Do you have it that Bray stalks potential opponents because people will be too afraid to challenge him? I mean, I'd like it if WWE did that because it ties into the gimmick. And I think for the gimmick to work, that's how we have to handle it. But we don't know. I was thinking about it. I still think Seth Rollins could have been more scared. But I imagine there's some kind of conversation backstage where people are like, oh, no, you can't be too scared. But you've got to be scared. You've got to be really, 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 really scared against Bray Wyatt. It's the only way it works. For you to believe, the person you see reacting has to believe as well. That's where the illusion comes from. That's where the magic is when it comes to pro wrestling. And on that note, I will draw this to a line because I feel my throat going and I want to try and rest it as best I can. Thank you for everyone for joining me today. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you if you did subscribe. Thank you for following me on Twitter. Thank you for following me on Instagram, SimonMiller316. And if you are a patron as well, patreon.com/SimonMiller316. Thank you for making all of this possible. Because you do. There's no two ways about it. If that died tomorrow, all of this would just stop. My personal channel would disappear. Make sure, even go there now, leave it open in a browser and come back in 10 minutes. Ups and Downs for SmackDown goes live at 2 p.m. BST on What Culture Wrestling. And make sure that you subscribe over there as well. That will bring the 3 ups and downs to a close this week after Clash of Champions of Raw. And then, we'll do next week and the week after. It's the craziest week in wrestling for a damn long time. And is the move to Fox and AEW going to start a boom period in wrestling? Some people would say yes, but there is no way to know. Thank you very much again for joining me. And as I always say, I'll speak to you again soon.